Jayden Quaintance might be the most slept-on prospect in the 2026 NBA Draft. This is Floor and Ceiling. Let's break him down. Jayden Quaintance barely played as a sophomore at Kentucky because of a serious right knee injury that included a torn ACL and meniscus. That came during a wildly impressive season last year as a 17-year-old at Arizona State, when I would have considered Quaintance a top 5-ish pick had he been draft eligible. Now, I still think he's worth a lottery pick. The biggest question mark surrounding Quaintance is his health, but since I don't have the medicals on that, I would rather focus on his game and look back to what he did as a freshman. At his best, Quaintance is an awesome defender who can shut down pick and rolls, protect the rim, switch out on the perimeter, and rack up stocks. On offense, Quaintance projects as a play finisher who really reminds me of Robert Williams, but he's also shown some really interesting flashes, handling, and even passing. Though, honestly, it might be best to really narrow his game down, at least initially. If Quaintance's health checks out, few prospects have as much breakout potential. I'm talking a top 10 return, and I'm not sure there will be any better defenders in this draft class. It's impossible to talk about Jayden Quaintance's strengths without starting with his defense. In the NBA, he's going to be able to switch or drop both very comfortably in the pick and roll. Keep in mind that this is reliant on his health, but JQ can switch up the length of his strides and stay parallel to ball handlers with astounding ease. He's absurdly long and really functional with great margins for recovery. As a freshman, Quaintance was a super unique mover who zipped around the floor, racking up steals and blocks. However, after coming back from injury, he looked significantly less comfortable on his injured leg in his very limited minutes as a sophomore. This is worth keeping in mind, obviously, but otherwise, Quaintance's defensive potential is sky high. We also see that with how JQ defends in space as he's real active and light on his feet. The 18-year-old prospect provides real ground coverage, and he'll make multiple efforts in order to secure the stop. Quaintance is really long, as I said, but it's not just his rangy arms, as he knows how to defend with his chest. He's a twitchy mover, but he's not one-dimensional either, as he can stop and go with attackers and then block their pull-ups. Overall, JQ is really fluid, and we've seen him get stops on NBA players like Igor Dumin or VJ Edgecombe going back to last season. As a freshman, he finished with a 2.2 steal rate and a 9.8 block rate. I could keep talking about Quaintance's defense all day, but to wrap up, it's also a matter of how important his strength is. JQ is reliable in the post, and again, he more than held his own against college bigs and forwards. 4s and 5s were not able to move him, and then it's also really tough to shoot over Quaintance. He's absurdly strong for his age, but even when attackers get a seemingly decent look, they still have to shoot over his 9'1" standing reach and his defensive instincts. Thinking about Quaintance on offense, he projects as a portable play finisher who executes the basics of being a big. By that, I mean that he screens, rolls, rim runs, and finishes plays in the dunker. Quaintance is physical, establishing position in the paint, and he embraces contact when he's going up. He's also a powerful rim runner who speeds down the court and makes himself a willing target. If defenses do not get back quickly in transition, JQ becomes a mismatch. Then, more simply, he gets how to space out to the dunker and finish emphatically, having 34 dunks in 24 games last season. Part of doing the basics for a big is rebounding, and I have full faith in Quaintance to extend or finish possessions on both ends of the floor. Focusing on his offensive boards here, his numbers at Arizona State, and then in a really small sample size for Kentucky, were promising. We see that with the advanced numbers below, but what I'm really looking to see here going forward is Quaintance converting these putback opportunities that he secures more often. JQ gets these O boards through his strength, hands, and motor, but then his own numbers as a finisher in these situations are very improvable. It's also the process, I think. Sometimes Quaintance can go up a little soft and he's guilty of fading away, but really all he needs to do is go up, forward, and strong. Lastly, how about these expansive flashes from Quaintance? Now, Arizona State was not very good at all when he was there, but the team did allow for Quaintance to experiment with his handle as a freshman. He had plenty of reps facing up and driving or attacking a big from the perimeter. In particular, Quaintance loves to explode left from the right wing, and he gets lower than you would expect with his handle. If the straight line going left isn't there, he'll want to spin back right and play off of 2 feet. Moving past the scoring into the passing, it was good to see Quaintance experience doubles and different defensive looks as a 17-year-old freshman. His composure grew as the year progressed, and we even saw some pretty interesting skips or live dribble passes. Generally speaking, and as I'll get into, Quaintance wants to do too much, but I think the right moments are worth investigating. To me, it's Quaintance's offense that needs the most improvement. His finishing needs to be more consistent, especially when he's not dunking, as he gets blocked more often than I would prefer. JQ has a frustrating tendency to bring the ball down when he gathers at the basket, and wanting to dunk everything can play against him when the situation requires either softer touch or more nuance. Going back to his perimeter reps, I am glad that Arizona State gave him those, but it's also true that Quaintance's finishing package left much to be desired. As a whole, his left hand, touch, and even balance in traffic need to keep improving. Really, all of that taps into my questions about Quaintance's non-creation and his scoring efficiency. The flashes are definitely cool, but the question is whether they're functional or what an NBA team needs. My guess, at least in the short term, is no, and Quaintance's role might need to be narrowed down away from post-ups, ISOs, and maybe even spot-ups. As a scorer, JQ's face-up game is very inconsistent, and he can't constantly carve out angles for himself. Then, as a playmaker, the passing moments are cool, but they come with a lot of rough patches. At this point, JQ's handle is far more theoretical than functional. He drives into the help, he cuffs up the ball over far too often, and he can get very sped up against double teams or when he sees different coverages, though to be fair, that's not unexpected for a 17 or 18-year-old forward. Then, JQ's free throws are a huge issue with truly awful figures that could lead to a hack Quaintance down the line. In college, he's only made about 45% of his foul shots, which could genuinely keep him off the floor at the next level. Quaintance gets to the line thanks to his physicality, motor, and athleticism, but then he needs to convert at least a little bit more. Thinking about everywhere else, Quaintance's catch and shoot 3 does not look great either, making only 5 of his 30 attempted shots at ASU, but at least he's a willing 3-point shooter. And then any tries from the mid-range should probably just get wiped away until years down the line, if that. To wrap up, the biggest caveat for Quaintance is his devastating knee injury, which he is seemingly still fully recovering from. This is hard to definitively say from the outside, but I do think that modern medicine will get him up to speed. From there, it's a matter of how many games and how many minutes Quaintance will be able to play, but for me, the talent level is so high that I'd even be fine with him redshirting his rookie season. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, make sure to leave a comment telling me what you think of Jayden Quaintance, make sure to subscribe to the Floor and Ceiling Substack, and if you want to watch more content like this, subscribe to the channel as well. Take care, and I'll catch you guys next time.